What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another Fire Emblem Three Houses video. Today, we've got some interesting information for you guys, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And we're starting off with the Amazon best sellers, and a game that many people felt probably wouldn't get to this spot is right there locked in at number 1. Now basically what Amazon does, Amazon actually tracks all of the best selling games which people have been pre-ordering, and even after the game has been launched, they'll continue to track it on their sales charts. Now what we've seen before in the past, games like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Super Mario Maker, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, a lot of the games that are the top sellers on Amazon's best sales charts end up being some of the best selling games for the time period, year, whatever the case is. We saw that with Octopath Traveler, and now we're seeing that with Fire Emblem Three Houses, because the game is actually number 1 on Amazon's sales charts. It's pretty much been there since last week or so, and I'm very excited to see that, just because it shows that one, Fire Emblem has a lot of interest despite it being more of a niche style genre. And what I mean by that, not that the game itself is niche, but strategy RPGs, you don't see them a lot, but when good ones do come out, like an XCOM or like a Mario plus Rabbids, people definitely take notice, and Fire Emblem, from what I understand, was definitely higher than what those games have produced so far when it comes to Amazon sales charts. So it's very good to see that top right there, and I think that people are getting really excited as we head closer and closer to the launch of the game. We have Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order, which is also in the top sales charts as well on Amazon. That's this week on Friday, and then the following Friday we will have Fire Emblem Three Houses finally in our possession. I think some of you guys have been seeing the previews and everything that's went up, and the game is just looking absolutely spectacular. Along with my own coverage, I'm very happy for this game to finally be coming out after a couple different delays here. And what really this shows is Intelligent Systems' first true HD game and first true HD Fire Emblem game ever made. I think it's going to be really good. Now, another thing that I noticed with the sales spike here on Amazon, I also saw in the Famitsu sales charts. At first, I thought it was, okay, well, maybe Super Mario Maker is taking its course, because sales for the Nintendo Switch for the previous week in Japan, from July 1st, 2019 through July 7th, 2019, sales spiked up 10,000 plus units. So I was wondering, okay, well, maybe Super Mario Maker has finally started to take its course, but I'm not so sure about that. If you look at it, it coincides with the spike of the preload with Fire Emblem Three Houses. That is the #1 sales on the eShop charts in Japan. The preload has already surpassed what Super Mario Maker is doing, despite that game being not out for too much longer. You would think that maybe the sales of Super Mario Maker would be above what Fire Emblem Three Houses is doing just with preloads in Japan, but that's not the case. It is the #1 game on the Japanese eShop sales charts with the preload, and you can kind of see this huge spike with the 75,481 units that the Nintendo Switch sold in Japan in that same time period. So people seem to be going out there, picking up a Nintendo Switch, preloading Fire Emblem Three Houses, and probably playing some other games, whether it's Super Mario Maker, Super Smash Brothers, any of the other games that were on the top 30 charts. The Switch has a number of titles there, so we're seeing Fire Emblem Three Houses already be a system seller for Nintendo in Japan and pretty much worldwide. The sales of Amazon so far, seeing that do well, and then also the Nintendo Switch itself being the top system sold on Amazon, all of it's kind of fallen according to plan to Nintendo. And of course, I bet Intelligent Systems is very happy about that. Now, talking about the sales just for a little bit, Super Mario Maker was the top game again with over 83,000 units sold. And remember guys, the Famitsu sales doesn't track digital sales as well, so we can't get anything with that, but we do get the physical sales in Japan, and Super Mario Maker is doing really good, probably well over 300,000 units domestically in Japan, so that game's already rolling along. It was also pretty cool to see Yokai Watch 4, that game's still hanging in there, another 20,000 units sold as well. We did get some information that Yokai Watch 1 will be heading to the Nintendo Switch on September 20th alongside Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. That's also coming both to Nintendo Switch Lite in Japan. We'll be getting Ni no Kuni as well on September 20th worldwide, but we don't have anything for Yokai Watch 1. Not so sure about that game when it's getting localized. And of course, we still need to see the official, I guess, confirmation from Level 5, but their official YouTube channel, their or VTube or whatever the heck that they have announced the Yokai Watch 1 announcement. But I think that ultimately Japan with Fire Emblem Three Houses is really going to explode the sales, maybe even up to 100K plus when the game drops next week. So that's definitely going to be interesting to see. Now, kind of moving on to one more thing here with Fire Emblem Three Houses, guys. It does look like we have a confirmation that there will be same-sex romance options in this game. Now, that was something that was highly criticized in previous Fire Emblem games, not having the same-sex romance options. So I'm glad they were able to get that one in here this time at least. So let's go and get into the article here. So Nintendo of America has confirmed that Fire Emblem Three Houses will include same-sex relationships are possible for select characters in Fire Emblem Three Houses. At this time, the company is keeping quiet on specifics so the game isn't spoiled for players. Although not confirmed, a supposed leak did crop up not too long ago which contained information about same-sex relationships. These characters were named as possible options: Edelgard, Rhea, Mercedes, Adult Sothis, and Linhardt. So the romance options in Fire Emblem Three Houses can be accessed following the game's post-time skip. So once you go past the academy, like beginning phase, and then go into the time skip, then there will be some romance options there. So if you've played previous Fire Emblem games, there are romance options to where you can connect with another person and then they can build up higher support. And then also in a game like Fire Emblem Awakening, you could actually have children which come from the future and then come back to help you out. And those children are extremely powerful with different techniques from mom and dad. So pretty cool there. We'll have to wait and see what they do with this one. I'm guessing there's going to be something crazy with when you do relationships or something like that. There's going to be some type of benefit or some type of extra thing that you do get. But what this is basically telling me with all this is that they're covering all of their bases when it comes to Fire Emblem Three Houses. If you look at the options that you do have, not only do you have 3 different paths with 3 different types of warriors that you can go into battle with, but you also have all the other things that made Fire Emblem games great, with stuff like the classic mode, for example, right? Then you also have the casual mode, so you can play it the way that you want to play it. But they've also expanded upon that with stuff like the Academy. I think that people are severely underestimating kind of how cool the Academy kind of ties into the whole RPG feel. If you look at the monastery, having that huge open-ended area to kind of go anywhere that you want, do side quests, and enhance your combat troops' abilities and what you can do is something that's kind of like a revelation for the Fire Emblem series. And I'm so glad that people are taking notice with this. We're seeing with the sales charts with Amazon, we're seeing what's going on with Famitsu and the Nintendo Switch. This is going to be a very strong game for Nintendo this summer because the other systems really don't have much for the summer when it comes down to it. There's not a lot of games releasing, and Fire Emblem seems to be taking up all of the attention at this point because there just isn't much on any other system right now. So I'm really happy for Nintendo and of course the Switch to be getting this type of game. But it is going to be interesting to see exactly how many people outside of the hardcore audience are going to be getting this, because I've seen a number of people say with Fire Emblem Three Houses that this is going to be their first one. This is the first time I'm going to be playing it. So I think that Nintendo picked an absolutely amazing time to release this game. It is before stuff like Pokemon, it's before stuff like Luigi's Mansion. All of these games that are known by gamers out there with franchises, get it out before then so people can try something different. Despite Fire Emblem being a very old franchise, there's still a lot of people who haven't tried it out, and I think that people are going to be more willing to test this one out because it's coming out before the tried and true franchises out there like the ones that I mentioned. So I think that was a good strategic part on Nintendo's hand to do that, and summer's absolutely perfect for this type of game. Maybe people have a little bit more time, whatever the case is, but we're seeing that across the world. It's not just Japan this time. That's usually what we see with Fire Emblem games. It wasn't until Awakening really and Fates to where that really just jumped up the interest worldwide. So just great to see. I'm a huge Fire Emblem fan myself. Awakening is one of my favorite games of all time, if not my favorite, right alongside Chrono Trigger, some Xenoblade, Super Smash Brothers, franchises like that. So it's good to see Fire Emblem get so much attention and everything, because I think that honestly it like deserves it for this one. But I do want to mention one more thing with the sales here and with Fire Emblem. I do think that the success of Fire Emblem is definitely going to lead to a bit more. One question that I get quite a bit is, are we going to see any more line of the Echoes titles? So Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia, that was a remake of the Fire Emblem Gaiden with Alm and Celica. I think that this is definitely going to lead to that, because they can just take the engine that they do have and they can purpose that for another Fire Emblem game. Maybe they remake the Holy War, or they remake Sacred Stones or something like that. So they can kind of take whatever game that they want and remake it and repurpose it with the engine that they've already built alongside the programming with Koei Tecmo. So I think that this is the beginning of something very beautiful when it comes to HD Fire Emblem games, maybe getting some of the the older ones and bringing it back, this game is really going to kind of just lead the way because it's going to sell extremely good on the Nintendo Switch. So happy to see the success so far, and it's going to be even more interesting to see what it debuts at in Japan next week. But we'll find out the following week since it's coming out on a Friday, so it'll be a few days worth of sales numbers. So we'll see what happens there. So what are you guys' thoughts on Fire Emblem Three Houses when it comes to the same-sex romance options, the Amazon bestsellers, eShop charts in Japan with the preload being #1 with Fire Emblem, and also the sales spiking up with Fire Emblem Three Houses as well in Japan? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on social media. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future, and subscribe to PlayerEssence for latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.